Good morning, everyone. Thank you for such a warm introduction, Michelle. It is truly an honor for all of us in Critical Path Institute to be here in Brussels today. This is really the first opportunity for a public appearance of our two organizations. And as Michelle said, we have worked for many years on collaborations, but it's been more behind closed doors. So we're very happy to be able to share some of that with you today. And this afternoon, you'll be hearing about two specific projects where we are working really hand in glove in moving our activities forward. We hope that today there's going to be rigorous discussion with our panel about some of the challenges that public-private partnerships face, and even more importantly, some ideas to help us be more effective in accomplishing our mission in the future. As Michelle said, we are aligned in many ways in terms of our overall mission, which is to accelerate the development of new medicines and help accelerate the regulatory review process. I'd like to give you just a little bit of background on Critical Path Institute. Many of you may not be familiar with us. CPATH was formed in 2005 as a nonprofit entity in the U.S., and its mission was very closely aligned with the Critical Path Initiative, which is an initiative that was launched by the U.S. Food and Drug Administration. And the intent of that initiative is to improve the drug development process, to improve the quality of the evidence that emanates from that process, and to improve the outcomes of products that will be clinically used as a result of that process. CPATH acts as a trusted, neutral third party from which we orchestrate a collaborative framework to form consortia of scientists from industry, academia, and government laboratories. And we work in the pre-competitive space so that we can share expertise and we can actually share data. These consortia then work towards a science-based consensus on a specific issue related to drug development or a disease state. And that then enables novel methodologies and drug development tools to be identified and validated. We work closely with the regulatory authorities, EMA, FDA, and PMDA, to obtain scientific advice and guidance on these programs. And frequently, these programs will eventually receive a regulatory recognition known as a qualification, which is really an endorsement to drug sponsors that these tools are appropriate for applicability in clinical programs. To truly innovate or expedite the innovation of new products, we need to operate in a model where there is partnering and there is sharing of risk and sharing of cost. The pace of scientific knowledge advances so rapidly today that it's not possible for any single individual or single entity to have all the knowledge they need to address many of the complex scientific issues that we're grappling with. Therefore, it's critical, and we strive to strengthen the coordination and cooperation among various multidisciplinary research efforts that are looking at causes of disease and treatments of disease. This type of partnering is absolutely critical for the type of work that we're undertaking. And there are three pillars that support these collaborations. First is that we have to have the experts. We have to have a critical mass of expertise. Those experts can be anywhere in the globe, and international partnership is absolutely encouraged. And there has to be the willingness to share information and share data. On this slide, I've attempted to list some factors which we think are critical to be addressed for the future success of public-private partnerships such as ours. I'm not going to go through all of these because I believe you will hear about examples of some of these factors in the sessions this afternoon, but there are two I would like to highlight. And the first is the resource constraints. In today's economic environment, all organizations have resource constraints. Governments, academic institutions, and yes, even the biopharmaceutical industry has resource constraints. Therefore, again, it's very important that we work hard not to duplicate work and not to replicate infrastructure. So as an example, there are often many centers of excellence that may be working on a specific topic. Perhaps there is an academic institution that's been closely following development of a biomarker to monitor progress of a disease. It's best to tap into that center of excellence rather than trying to recreate it. And that is really what we strive to do at Critical Path Institute, and I know that this is what IMI also strives to do, to tap into the experts wherever they may be and bring the best knowledge, the best information that we can find to inform our programs. The second area I want to speak to is more cultural, and it is about the rewards and recognition systems that we use. I think most of us in our careers have probably been successful because of individual accomplishment. But I submit that in order for public-private partnerships to move forward at a faster and more efficacious pace, we need to rethink our rewards and recognition system to reward collective success as opposed to individual success. So it's a different mindset in terms of how we approach problem solving. Shared learning definitely can be shortened with the types of information that's coming out of these public-private partnerships. The example on the slide you've all seen before, it's just a picture of the different phases of a drug development process. The black indicators are about some types of drug development tools that we have been working on at Critical Path Institute. So for example, on the far left of the slide, safety biomarkers. So these typically are biomarkers that would be used in an animal model to predict organ toxicity. This information can be very critical inside of a company in terms of making go, no-go decisions so that resources can be adjusted to the projects that are more likely to be safe and efficacious and to be successful. We're also looking at some in vitro tools that can inform or help predict efficacy of compounds. If we move farther along the spectrum into the clinical development phase, we're also looking at some biomarkers that can be used to enrich a clinical trial population. We are developing some outcome assessment measures that are going to be validated, and the utility of these types of measures is that they can better assess efficacy, particularly in a population where patient self-reporting is important. So for example, if you're studying major depressive disorder or pain, there aren't biomarkers that you can look to for assessments. You really have to understand what the patient is experiencing. And then these can be applied across multiple trials looking to treat that disease and eventually could probably be used for comparative efficacy. The key underpinning for development of any of these tools is the sharing of information and some degree of standardization. Standardization in how the data are collected, how it's aggregated, how it's analyzed, and also standardization in how the tools are actually used, how the measurement science of what comes out of measuring these tools. CPATH currently has 7 global consortia that we are managing with over 1,000 scientists and approximately 41 companies participating. I'm not going to take the time to go through all of these. You will actually be hearing something about the first 2 that are listed. This afternoon, the Coalition Against Major Diseases, which is a consortium that focuses on neurodegenerative disorders like Alzheimer's disease and Parkinson's disease. They will be presenting to this audience along with Pharmacog and EMIF, 2 of the IMI programs that are working in a similar space. You'll also hear from the Critical Path to TB drug regimens. This is a consortium that is identifying scientific tools that can enable earlier testing of combination regimens which are needed to treat tuberculosis. And you'll hear more about that this afternoon. And they will be presenting, along with their sister consortium, Predict TB, within IMI. So we're very much looking forward to hearing about some of the collaboration that's taking place with these consortia. Finally, on this slide, I just want to acknowledge all of our collaborators. Through the years, we have worked with so many biopharmaceutical companies from across the globe. We have many partnering organizations, and none of the work that we do would be possible without the collaboration of all of these experts and stakeholder groups that are represented. We look forward to continued success in the future and more expedited success to deliver better tools that will help us all have greater assurance in the safety and efficacy of our products. And with that, I thank you very much for your attention, and I'll turn it back over to Michelle.